Thank you, ladies, for joining me on today. It's going to be another good one. We're going to stick with the same topic as we did the last time. I'm not going to say what the question is because we're going to have Lady CK come up and ask the question, and then we're just going to have candid conversations and sharing on the topic. And so we have Lady CK, and we also have I call her Dr. Kamilah Cross. She is a licensed therapist, and she can get more into telling us what it is that what she do. And she's going to be giving her professional insight. She's going to be sharing based off the topic that we will be talking about that I'm not going to mention because we're going to let Lady CK come up and ask that question. And we're going to fly from there. And so without further ado, Lady CK, you have the floor.
All right. Hello, and welcome in. I am Lady CK from the MSE Network, and we've been having a hot topic that's been going on, and I think it is so fitting for queens. It's fitting for kings as well, but listen, sometimes it has to be about us, right? Right. All right. So the question I wanted to ask you ladies is, what do you do when your crown is falling off? How do you reposition it?
Okay. And so if Dr. Kamilah can start with answering that question, and then I'll jump in and we can all just converse about it.
Okay, great. So let me reposition, right? Reposition. So as we know, life is not always a straight road, right? We definitely have things that come up in our lives that, in the words of Les Brown, I used to love to listen to him. If you guys know, he's like a world famous motivational speaker. And he would say there's things that take something out of you, right? And I know that we have all at this point in our lives had something that took something out of us. So I think I've had a few bumps that has kind of collectively allowed me to be who I am as a woman, and even as a therapist that helps me to help to shape and mold me and my abilities to help my clientele, right? A lot of my clients are women, and I get women usually 25 to 65, like in that age range. So a lot happens at that time in life, right? So I will share, right? Because I like to do a little self-disclosure to let you know, even with the skills and the tools that they teach you in a textbook, life gives you lessons that's even more profound at times, right? So I think my lesson was lost, right? Especially during the holidays and having lost a loved one. I lost my beautiful oldest sister, which was my rock. I tell people she helped raise me. My mom raised me, but she helped raise me. And I know that took a lot out of me. It took a lot out of me. It's still a process of healing, right? Because grief sometimes we know doesn't really have an end point, it's a full stop. It's something that you get through, you don't get over. So you definitely go through those stages of grief, and even when you come to that last stage of acceptance, it still kind of shows up, especially around the holidays, right? When you think about the advice this person may have given you or not, you know what I mean? It definitely does show up. So I know at that time of loss, that crown was on the floor somewhere. Like it was like, girl, I had to really and truly do a lot of praying, a lot of soul searching. And through the grace of God, I was able to say, okay, Mila, let's go. Like we still got purpose. We still got work to do. So I had to put that crown on. And, I tell people, because I do go to church and stuff, but I'm like, so you got to pray about it, cry about it, cuss about it. A little bit of all of that to be able to really get through it. So that is what helped me to get my crown back in place.
All righty. So all that, and it helped you to get your crown back in place. So so during that period, you was depressed.
Definitely. Well, and I want to say this, right? Being depressed is a part of the stages of grief, right? So you're going to have moments of sadness. You're going to have, just to educate a bit, right? You're going to have the moments of sadness or that depressed moment. I don't want to say depression, right? I want to say I had a depressed moment. Sadness, of course, that sadness, anger. Anger is a part of grief. Sometimes we like, Lord, right now I don't want to talk to you right now, Right. So I want to acknowledge that these are natural, healthy emotions, right? That we're going to have. it's just a part of the process. So yes, definitely losing I don't even call it. She was my big sis. That was my first mentor, my first friend, the first person who ever draped me up because I wear her clothes, and she said, "Girl, don't wear my clothes." You my first, like one of my first loves. Yes, I definitely had those feelings of sadness and depression. Yeah.
Kim, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I want to say she is so right. When you are going through it, when that crown is falling off or it's on the ground, there's so
Mhm.
many stages you go through when you're going through, as you say, a depressed moment. It starts off with you're hurt. You
Mhm.
get angry because you're like, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? And
Mhm.
then there's, a lot of mixed emotions that you go through. And so you have to continue to go through those until you can reshape yourself and then come back to reality in order to deal with it. But it takes those different, moments that you go through. So I totally agree.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. And I can share. I think the last time we had this topic, I shared where my crown was upside down at one point. It's like it had to not just tilt it, not just had them, it was upside down, but everybody else saw it as straight up. It was fine to them, but I wasn't fine. I wasn't okay. You know what I'm saying? And so, I just thank God for His grace for where I'm at right now. And being able to come out of those things. I've been through a plethora of stuff, as I'm quite sure we all have, right? And so there's been many times when our crown it was tilted, it was sliding, it was to the right and to the left, it's just with dealing with things. And so being able to have an outlet, to talk, where when I come to you to talk, it's gonna stay right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like being able to trust, because I had to learn how to accept even speaking with women, coming from church hurt years ago and being treated. I'm talking about we was done like little orphans. You know what I'm saying? Like we was treated like little Annies and orphans. I'm not gonna say the name of the church, or the pastor. I'm not gonna do that. But she in Miami, and she was terrible with how she treated us. And so just coming out of that, that's part of the reason why I ran, from the church, and was like, okay, well, if it's this way, then I don't want it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it got to a point where I didn't want to talk to no women pastors. I didn't care if you was the preacher. I didn't want to have no conversations with you. We was fine, but if I found out you was a minister of any sort, I ain't want to hear.
Wow.
You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And so that's why I say all the time, I thank God that He placed Johnson's family, Dr. Tequila Johnson, them, because
Mhm.
she knew where I was. She know the church that I came from, and lastly came from, that is. But and she never judged me. She never said, Ty, you know better. She didn't do any of that. She let me be. She let me talk my crazy talk.
Mhm.
And because I found myself, looking at, okay, well, I didn't delve into African spirituality, but you start to look at all this other stuff and say, well, you know what? Well, this is what our ancestors did. Look, we don't know what our ancestors did except God.
Mhm.
They are ancestors. They ain't here to tell us. So you
Yeah.
got all people saying what our ancestors did. They're getting into ancestor worship. They're getting into, chalk
Mhm.
stews and burning sage and doing
Mhm.
things that they feel is right. And the Bible speaks of there's a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof is destruction. So this stuff may make sense. And I'm seeing now where it's even more uprising of pastors and different leaders and stuff saying that they found another way. No, there is no other way. There's only one way.
Mhm.
No man can get
No.
to God but the Son, but through the Son Jesus Christ.
Mhm.
So when you and I'm not going to mention any of their names because there are names that I am praying, because I'm like, God, that same grace that you have and had for me at that time when I was out there thinking one way,
Mm.
please give them that same grace and draw them in and draw them in quicker, because these are people who they've had congregations. So, you know, and everybody's not strong enough, or everybody's relationship is not strong with God where they can say, you know what, I'm going to just pray for them. Some people see them and be like, oh, if they fail, what about me? You know, that's the man. That's
terrible.
the
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they saying this, I remember I was watching Ray Hagin, because I hadn't got into watching Ray Hagin. It's a black guy. He used to be a Baptist preacher, and he's created something called the African Village. And he, you know, he do some of his teachings are good when he's talking about stuff that's pertaining to the world and how the government system work and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. However, when it comes to your spirit, he believes that nothing in the Bible was real. The characters was some real and stuff like that. And I once was believing that, not because he said it, but because it was something I was already thinking. And so it's like when I heard him say it, I was like, oh, well, this must be confirmation. It's really the enemy, right? Yeah. Okay, and so God had me to pay attention. I think it was last year. He had me to pay attention, and this is when God was reeling me, you know, like really reeling me in. And I'm listening to Ray Hagin, and one thing that stood out that God had me to pay attention to is he's saying that nothing in this Bible, nobody in this Bible is real, but yet he's teaching from it.
See?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. Speak out tongues. You know, we can't be double-tongued around here. So I say that I don't believe that none of these characters exist, because now you're denying Christ. Foremost, now you're denying that God's word is real. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, I'm going to teach you from this Bible. I ain't seen this man pick up another book or teach from another book. You understand? And I haven't seen all his teachings, but I've seen a lot of them through over the years, over a 12-year span. I've seen a lot of his stuff. You know what I'm saying? So here it is. You're teaching this to people, and you're teaching them about, you know, your African roots. And there's nothing wrong with people understanding that, you know, their lineage may come from Africa, but you weren't there with your ancestors to know what it is that they taught. I hadn't started praying, you know, may the wisdom of my ancestors. No.
Opening up doors.
The wisdom of God have to be the wisdom that you operate in. We can't be around here praying, let this mind be in us, which is also in Christ Jesus, and then start asking our ancestors to do stuff. You know, you got people that's doing something called ancestor money, where they purchase. Let me tell you how cunning the enemy is. They purchase what's called ancestors money to give to their ancestors, so their ancestors can have money in the spiritual realm.
What value is that? There's no value.
Yeah, they're not here.
I never got into that, and I never bothered to even purchase it, because that was confusing to me. But I thank God that he allowed it to be confusing to me. It's like God allowed me to do just enough to say, you know what, this ain't it. You understand what I'm saying? Like this is not it. And so it's a lot. It's a lot with that, and it's an uprising. So now it's a whole movement. This stuff wasn't wide like it was, like how it is now. It wasn't wide like this 20 years ago, right? It became a whole movement with people thinking that, okay, I'm going to worship my ancestors. Then y'all build the altar to God. Why we can't build an altar to our ancestors? What is your ancestors doing for you? Your ancestors did for you when they was alive. With that, if they stayed praying, whatever they did, good, bad, or indifferent, then it was, you know, passed down to you in your bloodline. Now, depending on what was going on with your ancestry, you now have to break generational curses. And the only way you're going to break generational curses is by accepting the truth. First, accepting Christ. If you ain't accepting Christ, your money doesn't mean that your curses aren't broken. You got plenty of rich people cursed right now. Plenty of rich people confused. Plenty of rich people wanting to commit suicide. Plenty of rich people, you know what I'm saying? Money answers all things And it do. Money don't make you happy. It just answers the things around you that you got questions to, or you're able to maneuver however you need to maneuver because you have the money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, what is it profiting you? So and then when we look at what's going on now, right? It's been going on for a minute, but it's increasing and increasing. When we was in prayer today this morning, and the pastor was me, she said, "What is God saying?" She asked each one of us that was in what is God saying? God had spoke so much to me. But one of the things that he said that stood out, and I was like, oh my goodness, is you have the non-intercessors telling the intercessors how to pray.
Mm.
We're supposed to be on the wall praying. And this year, especially now, like right leading up to the election, it felt you could feel something. And it ain't because Trump in office. You could just feel it, right? And she said you got the non-intercessors telling the intercessors how to pray.
Mm.
That's like a person who don't have no children trying to tell a person who have children how to raise a child. You could read the books all day long about how to raise a child, but until you have one, we ain't got, there's a certain conversation we just can't have.
Yeah.
We just can't have, because you don't know what it's like to give the birth. You don't know what it's like to have to get up and nurture this child. And every child is different. You don't know what it's like to have to teaching a child, being a teacher in a classroom and spending moments with the child is much different than the child living in your household that you got to raise and instill values and deal with all the emotions this child have. And why do this child have this emotion? What is my role in this? How do I play the role in all this? Being a woman, we got to do all this and still have our crown up on our head.
Mm.
And a lot of us is doing it by ourselves.
Amen.
And just because there's a man in the household don't mean stability. It doesn't mean that there's really stability even going on there, because a lot of times the children are seeing even more, depending on what the values of each parents are, the attitudes. Some people are in an abusive home, verbally, physically, emotionally. You know what I'm saying? So just because, we want to encourage two-parent households, but we want to encourage a healthy two-parent.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so whether a woman is married or single, she still bear responsibility and still got to have her crown up on her head. And sometimes, sometimes it's going to slide a little bit. You get tired. I remember sharing, I just shared Kim, Wayne. I just shared with him like a week ago, there once was a time years ago that I just felt like walking out my front door and walking down the sidewalk and not turning around.
I know.
I said, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. But life, life be life, and for real, whether you gonna go with the flow or not. And so it's like, okay, God, I wasn't in the place that I was supposed to be with God at that point. I was still praying, but I wasn't in place. My heart posture wasn't in place the way it needed to be. And all that stuff lift this year when I didn't feel like walking out the door this year or last year. We're talking about years ago. But I'm saying like the overwhelmness, the depression, because I was depressed. You know what I'm saying? All that didn't lift until I got back in position with God. And God let me see the difference. And so now when I look at the word grace, or when I say the word grace, it has a total different meaning for me now. It is no longer, God, give me your grace. Do you really understand what you asking him for when you ask for grace? When he allow you to see how his hand is upon you and how his grace is really sufficient. And you be like, God, wait a minute, this is what grace really is. And then he tells us we ought to give people that same grace as well. So it's a lot, and I know I said a lot, but I had to get it out.
Oh, it was powerful.
That's okay. What was that moment though? That moment when you were church hurt? What was that moment? What was that light or something that happened that took you out of it?
Kim, it wasn't no one event. We're talking about me being in this particular ministry 3.5 years, where the pastor would really verbally abuse us, literally embarrass us in front of people, had us out there on 27th Avenue and 119th Street selling donuts every Saturday. I was so black. I'm talking about, I was so dark. I didn't even realize how dark my skin was until one day at work, we took a group picture. I took a group picture with my team, and I had on this like sheer lime green shirt, and I looked like a fingerprint, like the ink from the fingerprint. Yeah. In this green shirt, I was like, oh my, and I looked greasy. Like, even though I wasn't greasy, it was just, I said, I had to got black. Saturday we was out there. Now, mind you, I was a tither. I gave offerings. I stayed putting together events to raise money for the church. Like, everything that we're supposed to give, I sowed seeds. I did all that. And she told me that I couldn't make no plans for my Saturday because I never know what the house of God have need of. So I didn't have a personal life outside of me going to work. It was work and church, literally. I had one day off that she might have given us, but we was always in church. Because I am an intercessor, she would pull me to come and pray all the time with her. Whether it be to her house, I would have to spend the night at the church. So this is me bringing my children, and we were spending the night at the church for all night prayer. And I still got to be up early the next morning to go to work. So this ain't like this was on a weekend. And we're talking about consistently. You know, whatever somebody go and tell her, that's not her message. It's like, we need you to hear from God for real. We need you to edify the body for real. If somebody came and gave you, they came to you for counseling and they're telling you what's going on in their home, that ain't for you to come and make that your message.
Right. And you know, I'm
talking about something bad, like to
I hear you. I definitely hear you. And I think that because it's great, you know, I always say there's themes that I experience sometimes in seasons and weeks. And I actually have a client who I have now, new client, and she talks about church hurt and some of the things that she was experiencing. And I think, you know, with me, I grew up in the church, but I'll say this, like, we went on Sundays, we might have did Sunday school, but it was, you know, we did Bible study a lot of times at home and stuff like that, right? So I think a big part of it is really and truly developing that relationship with God. Because sometimes those pastors, and I went to an amazing church. I went Tequila Johnson as well. Listen, different experience, just beautiful. It's very genuine. It's very loving. You know, but I think that, you know, developing that relationship with God, that discernment kicks in a little bit to where I think it's okay to side eye sometimes the people on the pulpit. And every now and again I feel bad, like, is this blasphemy? But I'm like, I feel like people sometimes in position, whether it be from the church, whether it be in the schools, whether it be in politics, they take it and they abuse that power. And I'm just like, there's no way that that's okay. I shouldn't have to jump over, you know, climb a mountain to prove that I love God. Like, that's not it. I want to do God's work. I want to do my tithes. I want to do my offerings. I want to do my seeding, because I see the blessings. I see the need. I know that that's what God is purposing me to do. But I think it hurts me so bad when I hear about issues with church hurt and how people abuse power, and even how, you know, let's talk about it, like, some of the church hurt that I hear, even the pastors intertwining sexually with the members, and I'm just like, this is not of God. Like, it's not of God. And I sit there and I'm like, this is terrible, because it is, of course, like, if I'm already coming from, right, because we're gonna go from trauma, we're gonna go from a psychological standpoint. Because a lot of times we want spiritual healing, we need mental healing, and sometimes the two combine, right? So if I'm coming from trauma and pain and hurt, and I feel like I find acceptance in a church, and then you use me, right? Sometimes I can't even see it, because I'm like, you know what? I feel loved, I feel accepted, and it's kind of like they give you, you know, dangling that carrot, right? And pray, you know, praising you on one end and beating you on the other. That's ridiculous. It's just like, what, you know, I hear it so much, and I'm like, I didn't experience it. I think because, it's funny, how God kind of shields you. My dad was Rastafarian. He still is. He's still alive, thank God. So my mom took us to church. My dad, he would do Bible study. Like we used to do it straight from the Bible. So it just was a different, I got not even different perspective. The foundation was very strong because it was really about knowing who you are and knowing whose you are and knowing who you belong to, right? So like it was just a different teaching on how he did it. So I just always understood that if you up there, God using you, you ain't God.
Yeah.
So if something don't feel right, I'm like, like you're not God. Like it just gotta make sense. You can't tell me one thing or I read one thing and it's something totally different. I'm confused. And I know God is not a God of confusion. So I really, it just hurts my heart so bad when I hear that because I'm like, you're messing with God's work. Like God purposed us to do work, and maybe He did choose you, right, to go ahead and lead His flock. But look how you leading His flock. You
Timing.
taking me to heaven or you taking me to hell? Like where we going?
It's timing. It's timing. The advantage that you had is that because even when it comes to what a person allow and accept it is how they was raised with it, right? Or if it is something new that's introducing. So for me, I was always taught when I entered into the church world, when you see things going wrong, it ain't that I didn't see, because we've seen a lot, but I was taught the background I came from, when you're in a certain church and you see the pastors in error or you see certain stuff going on, it's for you to pray. So I'm standing and I'm praying. And I'm like, okay, God, you see I'm praying, but at the same time, I'm talking about the whole congregation being. As a matter of fact, I just spoke with one of the visiting musicians that visit from time to time. And I didn't ask him about the ministry, but he was telling me, Ty, it's even worse now. She got people bringing their checkbooks, blank checkbooks, and she's writing checks. You can't do that to people. You don't know what people, their household have need of, but they don't care. And it's a lot. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm here and I'm praying. And remember, I told you she kept me like this because she told me, she said, Ty, I'm not trying to big your head up, but in that area of prayer, you got caught with God. I promise you guys, people used to call me who I did not know from other states and say, so-and-so gave me your number. We need you to pray. And whatever I prayed that evening, by the morning before I made it to work, I was getting a call with the testimony.
Wow.
You got to, and remember now, the prayers of the righteous avail much, right? Right. So you see in the Bible where God, I think it was Ezekiel, he told him, it was either Ezekiel or Jeremiah, he told him, don't pray for the people because the prayers of the righteous avail much. And when you have people who really understand spiritual principles, they will have you praying knowing they wrong, but they know God hear you. And God gonna do what you ask him to do. So she kept me up under her because I promise you, whatever I pray and ask God to do, God do it. Okay. So and it's not that you're looking at this person as a God, because I never seen her as a God. I'm being obedient. God got me here for right now. And whatever I see going on wrong, I'm gonna pray, even though I'm being hurt. I'm still gonna keep praying. And that's how I looked at it. But then it get to the point where, okay, God, this is too much. And when I finally made the decision to leave the church, I remember I was at work and I went into the bathroom, the one-star bathroom, when I was in there for 2 hours, literally praying. And God told me, he said, I never had you bound to that ministry. You stayed out of fear.
Yes.
You stayed out of fear. And I thought, that's what I'm
Yeah.
It's the thing. She would prophesy and say, God or the devil told her so-and-so gonna die because they detached from her umbilical cord or they detached from her ministries. And you will see these die. So now we're looking at how, like if we're going to go deep into why some people stay in church and be church hurt, is because now they're seeing the evidence of this person's spoken word. And you're thinking, okay, so if I leave, this could be a possibility, whether she's speaking it or not. You would see these people die. And God showed what he told me that Tuesday when I was in that bathroom praying. He said those people did not die because they left her church. Those people did not die because of that. They died because they were dying. Those
she knew.
They had ailments.
She knew.
They
False prophet.
come because you know they physically couldn't come to church because they were dying. And so you see what I'm saying? How
Yeah, manipulative. It's called it's
Yeah.
manipulation,
Yeah.
very,
right?
very
Yeah.
manipulative, very manipulative. And so as he showed me these things, I said, okay, that same Tuesday when I was in the bathroom praying, before we even got to that point, she showed up to my job. So
Come
when he
on.
called me and said somebody's at the front, I'm thinking it's food being delivered. I said, I ain't ordered no food, but I ordered yesterday. So maybe my name was the last one before I left. And they, you know, that's what I'm thinking. And before I could make it up to the front, God spoke, said, no, that's her. You know,
Wow.
her name. I get to the front, she had on red, black, and white, a red, black, and white skirt set. We talked, this happened like about 13, 14 years ago. I remember this like it was yesterday. And I looked her right in her face and I said, you have got to be kidding me. And I turned around and I walked, I didn't even go straight to my desk. I went to a friend of mine. His name is Alex Bostic. He worked with me at the time. And I didn't tell him who or what it was at the front. I just said, Alex, do me a favor. Go walk to the front of the building and tell me what you see. I didn't tell him it was a person. I didn't tell him it was a thing. I didn't give him no hints. I just said, go walk to the front of the building and tell me what you see. He walked up there, and as he was coming back, he was shaking his head. He was like he was trying to get something off him. And he said, Ty, who was that lady up there that's into all that witchcraft?
Wow.
I said, that was my pastor. He said, my wife was just praying for you last night. And my wife said, whoever your pastor is into a lot of witchcraft. And she was. She was. She was mixing the two. I had never heard about Yoruba. You understand? I knew about Santa Maria because in Miami, who don't know about Santa Maria, right? You ain't got the practice to know when you see the people in white, that's Santa Maria, but then you learn that all those people in white ain't Santa Maria, the Yoruba. She had a book where she was reading from Yoruba. And she stood in a pulpit and said how she can cast out 100 spells because she's been reading Yoruba. I said, that ain't reading, that's studying. You talking about 100 spells? Like, even if you could do one, you studied it. You understand what I'm saying? So I say all that to say you have people that's there. Everybody's not looking at the pastor as an idol. I was taught that when you see things going on, you know, pray for the pastors, pray for the ministry, pray for the people, cover them in prayer.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it was I'm covering the people in prayer, but at the same time, it's like, God, I don't feel like I can grow here like this. You know, I don't feel like this abuse is. I'm a grown woman for one.
Yeah.
I'm a child. I'm your child, but what's going on here is wrong. And like I said, he told me, he said, I never had you bound to that ministry. You stayed out of fear.
Yeah.
I said, oh, okay, so that's what I'm working with that evening.
Yeah. And he don't operate in fear.
No.
I
Or confusion.
Yeah, I had a friend named Tania, and I had Tania. I didn't even drive my own car. I wrote a letter of recognition, which I later learned I didn't even have to do that. But I wrote a letter of not recognition, resigning from the ministry. While they was in there praying that Tuesday night, I slipped it into the church mailbox, and I never went back to another service. You know what I'm saying? So, but you have a lot of that.
Yeah.
She took advantage of you, though, Ty. She saw you as an innocent person, and she saw the hurt on you. She was looking to manipulate you. It was sad that she took advantage of you, knowing she could see something that you were going in there innocently. Because church is the place where people are supposed to go. That's one of the sanctuaries that we're supposed to go and feel comfortable and feel wanted.
Right.
And have love shown to us. But it's starting to be where if you don't bring the love, there's no love there.
If you don't bring the church.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of the churches, if you don't bring the love is not there. So sometimes it's the people. They always tell you it's just the building. It's the people in the building. And everyone that said that they're appointed, they're not appointed, then they're not called by God. Some were chosen. Some were called. Few. You know what they say?
Yeah, many are called, but few are chosen.
Thank you.
Few are chosen because the many that were called weren't in position.
Right. But you know, God has a special thing for those that abuse power. in the sanctuary of people, and you call yourself a child of God, and you're a minister, and you're a prophetess, and evangelist, or whatever your title is, still, if you abuse that title, there's a special thing that he has for you. And if you look at Bishop Eddie Long and a lot of these pastors, it comes down to you. It will come down. You can only get so far until it starts coming down. But a person that's going in with the crown on the ground and you take advantage of them, that's awful. Yeah. Awful.
Well, they make a good living out of it. A lot of them make a good living, and they prey on sick and people that are in pain and people that are in need of love, like you said. Yes. And like you said, it's unfortunate that when you do go to a sanctuary or find a sanctuary that you like and you feel comfortable, then unfortunately you have to bring the love, and sometimes the whole church. I remember going to a church, and I told my mom, because I grew up in a Pentecostal church, so I'm used to shouting and I'm used to praising God. And I went to this church, and I came home and I was like, "Mom, I didn't feel anything." And she said, "Well, you supposed to bring it. That's why you didn't feel it, because you didn't feel like bringing the church to the church." She said, "Sometimes you're going to be the only church in the church, so bring it from now on." Because now it's a business. It used to be both. Because I mean, we have to be honest with ourselves. Lights cost money. Buildings cost money. I do understand that the pastors have to keep the lights on and they have to keep their buildings running in order to heal the sick, if that's what you're really doing. But when it becomes you make me rich type thing, and you see your flock is not flourishing, which meaning that you're not really nourishing them in the areas that they need to be nourished. Like God want us to be good business people too. He want us to maintain our households. That's not being encouraged. It's just like, come to church, give me your money. Forget about your husband and your kids and your family and all that. Spend all your time and all your money here. That's the problem, And nobody want to be out in the field. Now, that's a discussion that nobody want to have. They want to sit in their churches with their cute little outfits on and, talk about each other and gossip. But you don't want to go out in the field like Jesus do. You don't want to have that conversation.
I'm here like really like shifted in my seat.
Well, let me introduce who this is. So this is Namphuyo.
Hi, I'm sorry I'm late.
Hi.
No problem.
Welcome.
She's a recording artist. She's my cousin. She's Betty's daughter, and she's filled with wisdom and a lot of love. And so I wanted to make sure that she came on so she could join this conversation. Namphuyo, I call her Dr. Kamilah, and I ain't calling you nothing else. This is Dr. Kamilah.
Nice to meet you.
And Lady CK. So Dr. Kamilah.
I know
yes,
her.
Hi, Mama.
Yes. Sweet as she can be. Yes, she is.
Yes. So
I came in on an interesting conversation because for the church, I have always been my whole life. I was in church when I was a kid, 6 days a week, all day, about maybe 10 to 16 hours a day. That's what my mom, that's how she hid from the music industry. We was always in the church, and church in our house was non-negotiable. It wasn't like, I don't want to go to church today. You didn't even fix your mouth or face or nothing like that. You just did that, And as I got older, I watched the place that I love to be the most. I just watched it change. Not that it wasn't a hot mess, because it was always a hot mess. Mm-hmm. But I felt like it was supposed to be, because it's a church. It's where the sick go to be healed. It's, I understood that part. But then when I saw the leaders mislead, I'm like, nah, you can't have that, because it started at the top. And whatever it is that you're doing and whatever is going on in here, God is not operating in this building anymore. And I found myself going from church to church to church, and I was just searching. And finally, I did what Ty did, and I left. And that is when my relationship, or my adult personal relationship, began with God. I had to do a restart, because I was listening to people and following people that wasn't doing the right things, It was a situation, you know, my pastor, he and I to this day, I still love him and he's still my pastor. Everybody fall. It's the come up that matters. But it taught me a valuable lesson about idolizing people, because I never been into idolatry. I grew up in the music industry. Them people, they just going to work just like everybody else. They not, you know, whoever they are, God ordained them to be that, and that's just who they are. And you know, they shouldn't be hated for that, or loved. To be honest, I mean, we should admire the gifts that God give us and move on. So I never been into idolatry. That's not my thing. But I found myself idolizing my pastor.
Yeah.
Because he was also my friend, and I liked the way he was able to maintain our friendship. And then he, you know, he would teach me things about the Bible, and we was really good friends. So when he, you know, when he started doing certain things, it really, it affected my relationship with the church. Not so much with God, but with the church as an organization. I was like, man, you just can't trust nobody, you know. So I backed off, and I think that God did that and separated us because he wanted me to focus on him. He wanted me to focus on him and stop looking at his creations and focus on him and what he wanted me to do, you know. And it's not always inside of the church. I don't have a problem with church, and I don't knock it at all. It's a beautiful thing. And so is religion for certain people. But religion should not be, and nor church should be, the determining factor with our relationship with God. He created us. We shouldn't need a middleman.
Yeah.
It's his breath. This is his breath that we breathe and all of this. So we really shouldn't need a middleman. The fact that we need a middleman is kind of pathetic almost. We created by God. We are God's creation, created in his image, which means we have ultimate power, and we don't use it. We go to people. We go looking through people to find what we already have.
Well, once sin came into play, the wages is death. So that's, you know, the middleman. That's always, Jesus had to come to be the middleman. And even when you look at the Old Testament, before Jesus even walked, those people, they wanted a king. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, wait a minute. You know, when the prophet was like, wait a minute, you talking about God, you know, and God said, don't worry, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting me. It's the same. That's why I don't get wrapped up in the politics of the whole presidency stuff. You know, if you a Democrat, we can't be friends if you're a Republican, because
ridiculous. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, why at the end of the day, all this belongs to God, and whoever God wants to be in the seat, regardless
it's already written.
Like that's who's gonna be in the seats. You know what I'm saying? So it all boils down to, again, like Dr. Kamilah said, you having a relationship with God. Yes, there's gonna always be people. We cannot forsake the assembly of the gathering of the saints, because that's the way God ordained it, because there's strength in numbers. And the Bible says, where there's a multitude of counsel, there is safety. So we're not an island walking this thing out.
Definitely
not. Yeah. There's gonna be times where I may pick up the phone. I don't know what you need, but God will give me whatever.
You know,
and the same thing with the pastors, because we are all we're a part of the body of Christ. We make up, you know, the body, and we gonna see deficiencies in some people. Why? Because the flesh is weak. That's why the Bible say, when you see your brethren overtaken in a fault, you who are spiritual, cover them with the spirit of meekness, considering yourself, lest you fall into that same temptation. So it's like we're gonna see it. And that was another reason too why I stayed and was praying, because I'm like, okay, I see all the faults, I see what's going on. You know, these people are hurt, and then it's like, okay, well, you know, I'm getting spiritually blown. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, you know what I'm saying? So I mean, till we leave here, we got to be each other's keepers. You
definitely.
know what
I think and not to cut you off, Ty, but I definitely want to normalize, and I COVID was terrible, but I feel like it allowed people to open up a bit more about the importance of therapy, right? And what I tell my clients is, I'm not here to give you the answer. I'm here to help you, because I feel like we already have the answer, right? It's already inside of us. I'm just here to help you to bring it out, right? Because there's so many things that we have experienced in our lives, in our childhood, that we have never really processed or overcame. And what happens is we go looking for the solution. And a lot of times people will play and pray on that, right? So I think that, I'm definitely, I'm like, there should be a balance, right? When the trauma is that heavy, that hard, like there's nothing wrong with let me go ahead and see a therapist because it's too much, right? Just like how there's a doctor who helps with your physical ailments, the therapist, the psychologist, whoever you choose, who's trained, licensed, is going to help you with the mental part, because there's certain things that you can't figure out by yourself. And I'm not going to, the church, like, I feel like it should be a coupling, right? It shouldn't be one or the other. Back in the day, I feel like it was like you had to choose one or the other, when I really and truly think you need both. Because the pastor is going to is going to give it to you one way, but then the therapist is gonna actually help sometimes to bring it together where it might be a better understanding. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's just too heavy. Sometimes it's too heavy to look for anything in one. Other than God is the source of everything. But I just feel like to say, it's just too heavy. It's too much to look for it in just a church. If you know that you have been through horrific things, the answer is like we're going to be searching for an answer that we'll never get. So you always looking. You know what I'm saying? And I see that, right? And how we show up in one area of life is how we show up in every area of life, typically, right? So I hear like, and we're kind of taught like, okay, if you grew up in the church, you respect your all of those good things. We had great concepts that were given to us as children, right? That we, branch off into our adult years. But there are people who are predators who prey on, the good teachers that our parents gave us, or the spiritual foundation that we have. And what happens is we have that, God is, we are of God, right? So we have that inner voice that says something ain't right. But then we have our mama voice saying, listen, you respect your elders, go to church, and whatever happens to church, you just pray. Yeah, you can pray, but from a distance. You know what I mean? You got to be able to set those boundaries and say, Lord, is this where you really want me to be? Because if we do that there, we'll do it in relationships, we'll do it with a job, we'll do it with the church, we'll do it with, in all these other areas of life. And then we're always going to feel like, man, incomplete, empty, and broken at times. And I want for us, especially as Black women, to start taking that off, because we are like we have raising our kids, we trying to figure it out, and it's just too much. It's like I'm like it's too much, and I'm so upset. But I'm like, the church is the safe space. For me, I go to church and I'm crying every day. And when I'm in church, I said, if I'm going to be undone, I should be undone in front of God. That's how I feel. So for me to go to church and be manipulated, used, abused, and feeling like this, it gets me very, very upset. Like, I'm like, who is this pastor so I could go? Like, I don't, the worldly side of me, right? I guess. But I guess, God had Jesus, Jesus didn't take anything, right? Jesus even was assertive enough to stand for something. So that part of me is like, I'm going to be honest, I'm sitting here and I'm very upset. I'm very upset because I'm like, that's so unfair.
I tell you not to be upset, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
That I went through, it made me who I am today. So
definitely.
I don't allow any and everybody to pray for me. I don't allow any and everybody. Well, even back then, I didn't allow just anybody to lay their hands on me. I was not that one for the running every prophet's line. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. So it made me. It also, I've always had a heart of compassion, but it's like even more, compassionate toward those that's been church hurt. I'm not going to stand in judgment to say, why did you stay? Because people stay for reasons. And like I said, it goes back to how they're being brought up.
Yeah. Don't judge me. Yeah.
In it. And that happened then. And God allowed me to still be here now. So those that are church hurt that I'm going to come in contact with, I'm going to know how to minister to them. I'm going to know how to walk with them.
Yeah, definitely.
Versus what question we started off with, we want to you want to post a question to Namphuyo to let her know. We were talking about queens when their crown falls off, and so Ty was just talking about what happened to her when her crown fell off, when she had the thing going on with church hurt. So can you tell us something that may have happened to you to cause your crown to fall off or tilt?
Oh wow. There are so many crown falling incidents in my life. I mean, that was a lot of things that I did that I felt like I knew better in my life, but I think that my career made my crown fall off. I think that's what happened because I had been raised to feel like I was supposed to do one certain thing and I wasn't, and because I was so focused on that one thing, I couldn't really see the other blessings that were around. Like it was so many opportunities that I could have taken and I was just looking at one thing that I wanted to be. And it wasn't even it wasn't that big of a thing. It was just something that I wanted, and I would see, I would see other people doing what I do not as well, in my opinion, you know what I mean? And I would get really, really discouraged, and it made me a really angry and bitter person. I would lash out at people, or I would just become introverted and I didn't want to visit my family. I think about all the times when I could have just got up and driven to see my mom, but I was too angry, and I just, I had all of this balled up frustration, and I couldn't figure out what to do. I would pray and pray and pray and pray, like until my knees turned red. I would just pray, and I was getting nothing. And I mean, until this day, I still never got that thing. And it wasn't until a certain point that I realized that that's not the thing that you're supposed to be doing. That's why you don't have it. But what you want, you could have 10 times that if you just kind of stand over here and line up with what God is trying to give you. And the whole time, while I was being bitter and frustrated, I was on the path. But I couldn't see it because I wasn't getting what I wanted fast enough. It wasn't coming fast enough. I thought, and then another thing was I was letting other people tell me that this is what's supposed to be happening. And these people are not God. They did not send me here. They don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm letting them tell me, even though what I'm doing is making me feel bad. I'm letting them tell me this is who you're supposed to be. And I'm frustrated that I'm not that I couldn't people please, that I couldn't be what the world was telling me that I was born to be. And I was doing it the whole time because I wasn't born to be what they thought that I was born to be. I'm on a different mission. And until I realized that I was on a different mission, I was a very, very hurt person. Like I'll go so far as to say I wasted the last 25 years of my life being angry. Wow. I was on the road with my mom. I went everywhere in the world. I could have enjoyed myself, and I just didn't. I had chances to do things that I love. Go to all different types of malls and amusement parks. That's all I like to do is shop and play. I'm a big kid, and when I think back, I'm like, you had all these opportunities, and the worst thing of it all is I don't even remember everywhere that I went. I didn't bother to write it down. I didn't take pictures. I was angry. I was angry, and you couldn't even see it. I would be smiling, but on the inside, I was mad because I'm like, I'm being paid less than I'm worth. I'm doing what I love, but I'm not really doing it the way I want to do it. And it was in my head, it was all about me, what I wanted and what I felt like doing, because that's what I felt like I was born to do, and it just wasn't it. And so I mean, for a long time I didn't even have a crown. I would look in the mirror at myself, and I gained about 100 pounds. I didn't recognize myself. I was miserable. My back hurt, my knees hurt. I was just angry. I was angry about everything. I was angry about my whole existence because I didn't feel like I was measuring up to who I was supposed to be, but I was looking at myself through the eyes of man. And that was the problem. The whole time I should have been looking up, and I should have been paying attention to what God already had me doing. I was doing it.
You were doing that.
I was doing it the whole time, but I didn't notice it. And unfortunately, after my mom passed, I realized a lot of things about my purpose and what I was really doing. And, I used to love to have these long spiritual conversations with her, and I wasn't even able to tell her, like, I figured it out. Now, You know, if I want to get a message to her, I got to get back on my crusty knees and be like, Lord, please tell her I figured it, because I figured it out that I was focusing too much on myself and other people. And now it's like I don't even worry the way that I used to. I don't get angry the way that I used to. That spirit in me that wanted to beat everything up and down is gone, because I just give it to God. And I hate that I wasted 20 some odd years of my life. You know, I hate that, but I can't go back. Ain't no going back. You know what I mean? And as far as going forward, I don't know about that either. But I will this today, as I'm speaking to you ladies, I'm here. I'm finally in the present.
Amen.
And for people that live in the present, it probably makes no sense what I'm about to say, but I'm one that never lives in the moment. I could never just enjoy a thing. I don't have birthday parties because I can't enjoy the people singing happy birthday to me. I'm thinking about something else.
Wow.
While everybody is telling me, oh, we love you and this and that, I'm thinking, what do I gotta have to do tomorrow? Like I'm never here. I'm always speeding ahead, thinking about what I could do for somebody else or what I could do to make the world a better place. And I'm never really here, you know?
Yeah.
But God spoke to me and was like, you can't go back. Ain't no going back. And I didn't promise you tomorrow either. So you don't know that either. So stay with me for a minute. Namphuyo. Just stay with me for a little while. And it's working out pretty good for me, you know? It's working out. You know, now if ain't no money in the bank account and I ain't got no food, I'll be like, well, yay, it's a great time to fast. Like I'm so
I love it.
It's different and it's new for me. Like I feel like God stripped me of everything.
Wow.
He stripped me of everything. And this is just in the past 5 years.
That's
My
right.
parents died, all three of them, my stepdaddy, my mama, my dad, my biological dad, and they all at once. My godmama. I lost over 40 people in 5 years that I knew, that I loved, and that was a big part of my life. My team gone. So it's just me. This what you see, this what I have.
Yeah.
I got divorced. I had to move out of the house with my kids. I have been through it. Linked up with the wrong person, got taken advantage of over and over and over again. But I'm not angry about any of it. And that's the part that really, that's why I know that the Lord's still working with me. He ain't done with me. Because I thought he kicked me to the curb. I'm like, you tired of me too. I was tired of me. You know, and today I can sit here and say that he is not tired of me and he is still working on me, because so much has been done to me since my mom left. Like so many people have stolen from me and my sisters and brothers. I had family turn on me. I barely have anybody. I got my kids and my sisters. That's who I have, you know. But I'm sitting in such a peaceful place because I never needed a soul. All I needed was God the whole time.
Yeah, he wasn't done with you. He was just waiting on you.
Right. He probably was just looking at me, shaking my head like this
girl, she's so
never get it together. But he didn't give up on me. He didn't.
He don't do that.
Yeah, he'll never do that.
Yeah.
He didn't give up, and I've been weak, and I've been in my shell for the past 5 years because my mama was the only person I had, really. You know, you had that one person that had your back. That's the only person I had in the world. And she had to go. She had to leave me alone. And I was afraid. You know, I'm like, I'm getting ready to be on this earth alone. Literally not a soul you could call if you need a tire change.
I know.
What are you going to do?
I know.
So I took that time and I got to re-know God and I got to re-know myself. And it's really, it's working out for me, you know. For anybody, for non-believers, I don't knock it no more. I just pray. And it's been working, you know. God flipped me inside out and stripped me of everything and everybody and was like, let's see how you swim with just me. Just me and you. Let's see how you swim now. And I was drowning for a minute, but he threw me a life preserver and I made it to the shore.
Amen.
I'm
Amen.
all the way where I need to be. And like you said, therapy, I've never been to therapy. And I should have went
And
when my
that's what I
brother got
told her
murdered.
too. Mm-hmm.
That's when I should have gone, because that's when I really lost my mind. But I believe in therapy. I believe in church and I believe in a relationship with God, but I do believe in therapy. And it
Yeah.
does help with your crown, because it's things that your friends and family are just never going to tell you.
No.
They just not going to say it. They don't want to hurt your feelings. Maybe they don't know how to say it, because a lot of our problem is us. And that's the part that we don't want to deal with.
Yes.
I didn't look at my last relationship and say, he did this to me and he did that to me. I said, maybe you need to consider that you might need to change your taste in men. You do.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you need to change how you allow people to treat you. And that's it's always you. It's always more you than everybody else. So I'm glad that, I had this time as an eye opener to see myself and the things that I need to fix about myself, and that I am open for therapy now, because I know I do need it. And just really thankful to God for slowly restoring what I lost.
Yes.
Because I see it all coming back now. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why this happened. We be so like, why?
What?
We ain't even
We
like,
do.
it's a whole thing. It's not just you, it's a whole thing going
Whole
around.
thing.
And maybe you the sacrifice for the moment. So some other things can take place. And I don't have a problem with it now. I'm really, really in a good place. I keep saying this, even though I'm still in pain, I still get depressed, I still go through my things, but I'm in a really, really good place now.
Yeah. And you are
Really
celebrating the
great.
moment.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, you are celebrating the moment because
Yes.
you are who you are now. You feeling yourself.
Yes.
So that's a beautiful moment that you're celebrating. And trust me, your light is shining.
Yeah.
Thank you, sis. I mean,
Mhm.
we God's creation. We supposed to always shine.
Oh, yeah.
That's
He
right.
created each and every one of us, took his time, gave us our special little things that we have.
Yeah.
And we have to learn to celebrate that too. It's nothing wrong with it. It's nothing to feel guilty about. It's not conceit.
Yeah.
It's giving glory to God, because he created us too. And we are beautiful creations.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to piggyback a little bit, I was trying to say this earlier. Dr. Kamilah, when you were speaking and you were saying that the therapy and church should go hand in hand, it is. Remember, the scriptures say, where there's a multitude of counsel, there is safety. It didn't say that the counsel only had to come from the church. God has his people set up some of everywhere. It's just a matter of us being able to discern and know that, or making sure we're being led by God on where to go for those counsels. So yes, therapy definitely, is good as long as it's coming from the right source, and the source is Christ. So I also want to introduce to Ardeen. She's joining as well. Ardeen, if you could just say hi right quick, and then Lady CK, you can, we'll continue.
All right. Hello. I don't see her, but I'm sure she's there. And I want to welcome you to something that we ladies don't normally get together and do a lot, which we should, is queens coming together to talk about things that happen to us, because we are all who we have. And so we were talking about things that made our crown fall off. We as queens, we walk around, we're bleeding inside, and nobody can see that we're bleeding inside. So tell me something that made your crown tilt or fall off.
Well, good morning, ladies. Good morning. I would like to say thank you for allowing me to come on the platform. And yes, I do agree with you that a lot of us, I would say majority of us, have had things happen to us in the past, and we're afraid to acknowledge it and discuss it with another woman. And I have to say, with my case, recently I experienced something, but thanks to Ty, again, who has been always been a friend for me, I would say a sister, to remind me I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one who will come into certain circumstances and there's no embarrassment, but to look at it as a lesson and to be okay to talk about it. And for me, what tipped my crown, I have to say, I am one of those. I think in the last 10 years, my crown has been tipped more than once. And what one of them I can say that is has impacted me the most was divorce. Was divorce. I was embarrassed because of culture wise. I had asked myself what was my mistakes, and for a long time, even though after I divorced and I remarried, I would share certain private informations with another friend who on later on use these same stories that I saved with them to come back and backlash to show that I was not I'm a human being. And at the time, I was like, okay, it really made me depressed. It really had me thinking if I am the person that people are really saying that I am. But if it wasn't for the word, the gospel, and finding individuals like Tanya, I mean, individuals like Ty and women such as you, I would say probably I would still be embarrassed to talk about certain situations. But over the years, I have learned to take those certain conversations and take acknowledgement and move on from that. And move on from that. Learn. If I did hurt someone, apologize. If I needed to fix myself, I did. I got more involved into the scripture, and I can say I'm still healing from it. I'm still healing from it, ladies. I'm still healing from it. But is it enough to say that it's not enough for me to move on? No. I'm happy that I'm able to come across platforms as such as yours to say, okay, well, it's not nothing to be embarrassed about. It's just something that did happen, and I can rearrange my crown. I can place my crown back in the order that it was in. And I guess that's it for now for me.
Yeah, I just like what you said about I didn't even want to get into the whole thing about my divorce because that is a very long story, a 34-year story. So it's it's hard to get into it. It's, I got divorced from somebody that I grew up with and it was 2 years ago. He's remarried now. But yeah, that is a pain that a lot of people underestimate unless they've been through it and they don't know how how embarrassing it could be to have the two worlds to split and have certain friends choose one side and to know that everybody is talking behind your back but not saying anything because that's what happens during a divorce, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Yes.
going through it right now, like as we speak. They still talking. I've been divorced for 2 years and they got a lot to say about what is, but nobody really knows but the two people in the marriage. And my ex
Exactly.
and I were very well, I was very discreet about my divorce because I didn't celebrate it. I didn't get married to get divorced. That's not why I got married. I was married for 21 years because I was trying to make it work. And when it didn't, I found it a little embarrassing. It feels like a failure.
Yes.
That's what it feels
Mm-hmm.
like. It feels like a failure. It feels like a betrayal to God. And then you have this thing that's going on inside you because you don't even know how to be outside of this person, especially if it's a long relationship. You don't even know who you are outside
Yes.
of the individual. And to have people take
Exactly.
you and talk about you and start rumors and things like that when you already in the worst possible position you could possibly be in. I mean, like when I tell you, when I said I lost everything, I meant everything. I meant my house, my whole life just blew up. Like somebody took a grenade and blew up my life. Everything was just gone. Max beyond Thunderdome in my life, you know? So I felt so much what she was saying about having to pick your crown up in a situation like that. Because amongst all the other things that I was going through, I was also going through a divorce, which was and I was called everything but a child of God. That's all. And people, you know, some people believe it. Some people still believe it, and I get treated a certain way because of it. And it's okay. Because God don't want us around those people. We don't need those people. If somebody can come to you or my cousin Ty or anybody on this panel and tell you something about me without you doing research, you are not the person that I want to be around me. That's how I feel. And even my kids could get it. I tell them all the time, you got to be loyal to those that you love, and you have to do your own research. Don't open your mouth and speak on a thing unless you know for a fact what you're talking about. And keep in mind that your eyes can play tricks on you too. Don't say nothing. If you have a problem, just pray. Give it to God. He knows how to handle it.
But may I also say this? One of the things that I've been observing for the last couple years, and it's sad that, and I hope I can say this on live, that us Black women, is that okay to say this?
Yes, definitely.
That us Black women have gone, by the grace of God, we have excelled into certain positions and carry certain titles, and then we build platforms as such as this to have Black women open up. But unfortunately, a lot of us Black women have been deceived. And we live in this, due to social media, from what I'm seeing, a lot of us don't understand or have forgot the moral portion of it, where we must keep things confidential. So with platforms like such as this, which I'm grateful that we're still trying, what are we going to do to have another Black woman understand it's okay to speak about something that's hurting you internally and not being judged? It's okay to understand that even though you may not want to speak about it in society, that there's someone here that is willing to listen to you and is willing to make you understand, I'm here for you. After it's said, it's going to stay between us, and I want you to really heal. Because you're seeing a lot of people say, oh, we want us to heal, heal, heal. And then a couple months later, we're acting out of character.
So you know,
we're acting out of character.
You know, my mom made songs that people thought was entertainment, but they were not entertainment for me and my family, because that was our life. And the only way to combat what you just said is to be an open book. One thing about me, you can ask me about anything. You can ask me about when I was younger and I used to do drugs, and I'll tell you, because I'm not ashamed of anything that I overcame.
I'm right there with you.
And I'm not ashamed of anything that I'm going through or any decision that I made. So if people want to judge me for being honest and open about who I am, then so be it, because God see all my mess. I'm not trying to hide from nobody else, but I do acknowledge that it hurts. Because I you know, I'm a strong person, but it still hurts me when people talk about me, especially when I haven't done anything to that person. And I'm glad that you mentioned Black women, because right now I'm being slandered by a group of Black women that I don't even know, that I never even met, but through the opinions of other people, they feel like they know me, and they could speak out about me on a public platform. Thank God they're not using my name, because I would have sued by now. But you know, so many people keep things balled inside like a knot because they're afraid of being judged and afraid of what people might say or think about them. We got to stop being controlled by people. You gotta let it out, and at the very least, give it to God.
Yes.
Let it go, whatever it is, because we walking around killing ourselves.
Yes, we are.
Holding things in, cause cancer,
call it out.
That you could think of. It caused schizophrenia. All of these people having these breakdowns. That's from being afraid. That's from holding and living in fear. God does not operate in fear. So whatever people think of me, I'm not scared of that. Think whatever you want to think. I'm
whatever
not,
you want.
If everybody want me to do an open forum where I talk about all of my stuff, I'll do it. If it helps some other people, I'll do it. Talk about me if you want to. Judge me if you want to. I'm a whole person, and I'm honest about it. So and yes, I have faults.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a process to get to that, right? Like, you know, a lot of times we get to that through being hurt, through the pain, through someone betraying us. Then you're like, you know what, at this point, I'm going to just let it be, right? Because there is definitely power in our story, right? And I believe that it's good to be vulnerable, but not everybody deserves your vulnerability. A lot of times, and you know, it's funny because I was, you know, I can be totally transparent. I ain't let nobody in my business like that, right? Because they taught us what happens in the house stays in the house. You know what I mean? And then you had the best friend who you told in elementary. You know, I learned early. My best friend, I was selling candy, and she came and they robbed my candy at lunchtime, and she took a few pieces too. I came out of guilt. Our other friend said, "You better tell her." She's like, "Come here, I took a few candies." And I said, "Oh my God, my own friend got me," you know? So I saw that very early, but it's just like at the end of the day, it's hard. That was hurt. That hurt me. I still remember that was second grade. Okay. I'm being totally transparent, second grade. So I learned at that point, okay, I'm gonna put my guards up. It didn't take even being a therapist and seeing all of that. It took for me to get to like maybe a few years ago where I'm like, there's power in your story. Because I used to give you what I want to give you. And I'm still not going to give you every bit and piece of me because I don't even think you can handle it. And I'm not going to put myself out there sometimes for you to try to come in my face when I know you got your own skeletons in your closet. I am so super duper blessed. I remember in school, I said, Lord, give me the divorcee woman. I wanted the bougie client, right? I wanted women who were like, you know, just fabulously, but, you know, but I had to realize we suffer in silence. And God was giving me the professional woman who was the CEOs and the head coaches and the head this and the head that, who was very beautiful and polished on paper and in the camera. But behind the closed door, they suffering in silence. We talking about abuse. We talking about trauma. We talking about all kind of things that they never really got through. But what they did was they overcompensated, right? And they made their drive success. Because there's always something that we use to try to make us feel enough. So I realized that we all, at every point in our life, we all ask the question, am I enough? And that gave me the tools and the understanding to know that I'm not always supposed to be okay.
That's right.
I'm not supposed to always do this thing perfect. And do I care what you say? To an extent. But then I say, Lord, I'm God's child. You know, I got to have the affirmation come up because the negative thought will come up. You ain't this, you ain't that. And then it'll be like, child, I made up a whole affirmation. You are God's perfect masterpiece, perfectly flawed and perfectly flawless. Because depending on the day you catch me in, I might be the best therapist you ever met. And if somebody picks me off, I'm still 305-876. So I still have to. I gotta remind myself, okay, Mila, you have to, you know, I gotta catch myself and I have to do little things to pinch myself. I pinch inside my arm when I know I want to say something different. You know, I have to because I'm still human, right? I'm still human. And even with it all, I'm still human. So I have to realize, I always say accept and acknowledge. I accept that little girl who was hurt, that little girl who felt like she wasn't heard. Every now and again, she want to talk a lot and she want to, you know, she want to put you in a corner. But then I have to say, you know what? Let me acknowledge that I don't have to do that anymore.
Yes.
I don't have to do that anymore. But I want to remind somebody that guess what? I had to I had to go through that too, right? There's nothing wrong with you when you are still feeling pain from a divorce after that man who was supposed to be the love of your life hurt you. Like that's a natural part of the process. Being angry, being sad about it,
Yes.
still missing him, even though he might have did whatever. This is natural. We kind of make it like something's wrong with you if we feel things naturally.
Right.
Uh,
Yep.
Absolutely.
Everything is backwards.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
how we feel. I'm like, feel so backwards. Like we're just supposed to always be strong. That's not true.
It's
that's
not
not
Like
true.
possible.
That
it's
is
not
not
true. Anger is natural. Sadness is
Yes.
natural. All of these are natural things that God gave us. He gave us these feelings and these emotions,
Right.
right?
We were born
So
with souls.
nothing wrong with it, right? So like, why should
Right.
somebody tell us we shouldn't feel like that no more? Like, I don't get it.
For me, I would say a test is a testimony.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this.
It's
It's
one
a
of the
written
same.
scripture so you can help someone else.
It
definitely.
is.
You're going to go through things because God is going to place someone
Yeah.
who's going through something that you already went through 2 weeks ago, 10
Mhm,
weeks, 10 months ago, even 10 to 20 years ago. You're going to be that listening ear and that soothing heart
mhm,
for that person.
mhm,
But again,
mhm,
I'm praying enough that our sisters, women in general, because we see what's going on, that we're able to open up and speak about these things because guess what? We're raising these children
mhm,
Yeah.
and then we're raising the men who's going to love our women.
mhm,
All those are factors. All those are factors. And I do agree with you as a therapist because I had to get therapy. And I always tell people, I think that was the best thing for me.
Yeah.
Therapy helped me open up about a lot of things that I thought that was was to be embarrassed about.
mhm,
Because you know what? Years ago, if you thought or talked about a therapist, you were crazy.
mhm, mhm.
Hmm.
You couldn't bring that up. That
Yeah,
was a no. You need to see
Yeah.
a what? It's
yeah,
like you were considered crazy because
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
wanted to talk to someone else outside of the family.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
I
true.
was a couple months ago. I had someone ask me, "Oh, Ardeen, why would you finish your undergrad in psychology?"
Mhm,
I found it to be very interesting. I found it to be very interesting, and it made me understand. No, ladies, I said to myself, "Wow, God, you redirected me because you needed me to heal." And as I was writing some of my papers, it made me acknowledge. So it made me understand maybe there will probably a time when people were speaking to me. I didn't want to hear them. It made me understand when I probably walked into a church, it was being prophesied on a word, or I was asked to do something in prayer and I didn't do it. But when I sat by myself to write the paper and a particular topic came up, I was like, oh my God, this is me.
mhm,
This is me.
mhm,
So, how am I going to tell my daughter to heal from something? Because she's coming into age. She will be somebody's mother. She will be somebody's wife. When she comes up to me, how am I going to be able to say, heal from this instead of being a
mhm,
bitter black woman? And I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
How many of us can say, are we really bitter? Did we learn? So, ladies, I applaud you with this platform. I pray to God that it grows because we need these type of conversations.
mhm.
Amen.
I agree.
I
It
totally
feels better to talk to people,
Yeah.
especially
it does.
non-biased people, people
Yes.
that that have opinions but not based on what they think they know. You know what I mean? That's the perspective that we really, really that everybody needs that nobody is really grasping as a necessity, because it is. We all need that outside person to say, look here, there's your side and it's that side, and this is the truth. This is where we can
That's
all
right.
meet in the middle, because
Right.
we see things, but we don't all see them the same way because we individuals and we go through things. But just because somebody's sitting right next to you don't mean they having the same experience that you have.
Mhm.
They processing it different, it feels different, everything. So yes, and particularly in our community, we don't promote mental health too much. We look
No.
at it as an
We
embarrassment.
need
It's
to.
nothing to
Yes.
be embarrassed about.
Yes.
It's a natural thing to
Yes.
live in this crazy world and be a little touched by it.
Yes.
I mean, we see some crazy things, we hear crazy things, and this war is going on. So, everybody is a little bit sick.
Yeah.
Everybody's a little bit sick. None of us is all the way together. Or we'll be gone. Once you get it together, God be like, okay, you done. Come on.
Right.
Come
Yeah,
on now.
we here because we don't have it together yet. So it's okay. It's
Mm.
okay to say I'm hurt. It's okay to cry. It's okay to talk about it and get through it and process it. It's nothing wrong with it. And we can't, we live in a very judgmental era where everybody got something to say on public platforms, and everybody think they're a doctor and a preacher. And these people are not ordained to be telling us what we need to be doing with our lives. This is needed.
Yes.
As dangerous as it can be, because people get in the comments and they get bucked, they behind, they just typing away. But
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah.
they need it more than we do. That's what we have to remember when we come into contact with those spirits. They need it more than us. So it's they test at that moment, and that's what it's here for. And I congratulate the entire platform for doing what it's doing. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Ty, this is a really, really good thing.
This is
I think it's gonna
beautiful.
be
This
helpful
is
for a
beautiful.
lot of people.
Yes.
I think it's gonna be helpful. And this is ministry. You know what I mean? People don't
This
is what ministry is.
Yes.
It's a lot of ministers, as you were discussing when I first got in the chat. It's a lot of ministers that's in the pulpit that's not ordained to be there anymore, and they just rambling on with their own opinions and just overlooking God's word. This is what ministry is. This is what Jesus did. He helped the sick.
Amen.
And that's what you're doing. If you want to be a true follower of Christ, you follow him then. Help people that really need to be helped, like myself. I
like
need
all
it.
of us.
Like us all. We need
All of
this.
us.
If everybody does it, if somebody tell me they good, I don't believe you.
Yes.
I live in this world too. I watch the news. I see what's going on. I don't believe you good. You can't have a soul and be good and watch what's going on.
That's
So
right.
let's talk about it.
That's right.
Yeah. If you don't want to speak to me, there's a therapist. I'm always promoting a therapist. Oh, believe me, I'm always.
Oh yeah. Oh,
I'm
they
always
need
promoting.
it. They need it.
Yeah.
I got
And
a
pray
couple
for us
of
too.
folks I'm gonna refer
Yes,
to
that
Dr.
too.
Camilla because
I'm telling you, I've never seen a therapist. So listen, hey, it's needed.
It's needed.
Yep. Yep. Like Camilla said, a combination of both. And there's to back it up, because some things are mental health and some things people just need a
spiritual. Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So even with mental health, is big as it is right now, and as much as counselors are needed, a lot of things are being hidden under mental health that ain't mental health. Some people have demons that need to come out, and that's where you got the real disciples, or the the church, so to speak, the real churches that delve in it. We need both. And again, like the therapists that we need, they got to be like a Kamilah, or Matt Jeans, people that are people of God. Because when you are God, God will give you insight and foresight on how you're supposed to even handle each person that come in. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when you have children, your child might not listen to you, but they'll go and listen to auntie, right?
Yes.
Church, they may not listen to they'll go there and sit and listen to Kamilah. And Kamilah saying the same thing as the pastor.
Yes.
So it goes right back to when the word say, well, there's a multitude of counsel, there is safe. You know what I'm saying? And it's just a matter of you being able to tap into God so he can give you that revelation to say, okay, this this is what it is. Okay. And it's okay to go and sit down and talk to somebody. Another thing too, back in the day, it got looked at as being bad to go and sit in the chair while this person got this pad taking notes, and but legally pastors are held to the same standards as the therapist.
Yes.
Go out and talk church's business. You know what I'm saying? Like, all that too. But thank God for, thank God that people are being raised and then being embraced. Kamilah, if you didn't answer the call, because that's a calling to be a therapist, you got to have a certain amount of patience. You got to be called to that field. Like teachers got to be called. Real teachers
got to be a good listener. A good
Right. And so thank God that you weren't afraid to say, hey, you know what, this is the field in the area that I want to be in, because that's God planting you where you need to be able to help who come and see you. One plant, another water, but God get an increase. So you planting seeds right where you at, or you doing the watering.
Amen.
Amen.
Therapy is one of the most important ministries that God ever created on this earth, because he is entrusting you with his weakest. That's the lead, that's the people that everybody look down on, and he puts that in sick people in your head. That's a heavy cross to bear.
So y'all gotta pray for me. Keep me in prayer.
Oh, we will. We will.
Yeah.
I'm not going to prolong the time. This has been extremely good. We will be doing more of these. Lady CK, thank you, because Lady CK was the one that came with the.
Thank you.
The topic came from Bessie, but Lady CK she's my auntie. She's my auntie best friend, so she's my auntie. And when she came, I was like, you know what, this is a real good topic, because I told y'all my crown was upside down. We just, forget tilted and falling off. It just was flipped. And I'm grateful for the topic. I'm grateful that you ladies didn't find it strange, and that you guys trusted me enough to come and say, you know what, I'm gonna have this discussion. I don't take that lightly. Lady CK, thank you for coming, because I know thank
you. Because you know what, believe it or not, that came from a king. That came from my CEO. He came up with this topic. This is something that was near and dear to his heart. And he wanted us to feel comfortable in talking about it. And his book, he has it online. It's an ebook. And he has the whole outline of how different things and different ways to reposition your crown. And the book is phenomenal. It really helps you from a male perspective, because he's not judging at all. He's not judging at all. So
check that out.
I know that made me feel so good to know from a man. He sees what we're going through. He knows it. He's a married man with kids, and he understands it.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I love it because it's in alignment with what I do, because I crown women, like literally.
Amen.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
That's right. You crown women all the time, Ty.
This because you are relevant. My cousin wants y'all to know y'all matter.
You gonna get that morning text. You got purpose. You have a purpose.
And we all do. And it's okay not to be strong all the time.
But you know what? That's even in that's a whole nother topic, because we talk about being strong and strong Black women, but what defines a strong woman? Am I a strong woman because I'm a ride or die? Am I a strong woman because I know how to keep secrets? Am I a strong woman? What's really strong? We're not gonna go into that today, but y'all put a pin there.
Maybe that's our next topic.
That's the next topic. What is your strength?
Even in that, we are shaped and conditioned to think that we are strong if this, or we are strong if that. And it's like, are we really? Let's talk about it, because if that's the case, I think I'll feel a lot more stronger. I wouldn't be feeling as weak as I felt. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you get a crown of glory if your man selling drugs and you riding in the passenger seat counting the money for him. I'm a rider, so that makes me strong. No, that don't make you strong. You know what I'm saying? I'm a strong Black woman because I'm Black and I stepped into the room, but what follows behind that. What really makes us
Yeah.
strong?
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, let's get some clarity on what really makes us strong, because a lot of the stuff that we see as strength, it's leading us the wrong way.
Yeah,
Mm.
rude and ignorant don't mean strong.
It
Exactly.
does
That's a
not.
whole different conversation.
That's
That
yes,
is.
yeah.
Exactly. So that'll be something that, you know, we could talk about what makes us strong. And then Lady CK, when we do that recording, I would like for you to be on too, and that could be something else that we
Definitely.
send, you know, his way to further, you know, let's talk about it, you know, because one thing all us have in common as women, other than our anatomy, is that regardless of what our race is, we're looked at as being the weaker, we're looked at
Yeah.
as being the lesser, we looked at as things that we should be pregnant barefoot in the kitchen cooking, you know what I'm saying, and being submissive. And even when it comes to being submissive, what is that? You know what I'm saying? The Bible tells the both of us to submit one to another.
Mhm.
Amen.
You know what I'm
That
saying?
Amen.
part.
Yeah.
And for the man, when he tell the man to submit to his wife, he also tell him to love and cherish and stuff. You know what I'm saying? He's telling you, okay, these are what you got to do in order for the women to submit to you. But then even just in our regular household, like when it that next week, I'm gonna
Yeah.
set a date.
Yes.
So we can have that discussion next week,
All
because
right.
we
Well, I
need.
just want to say, you guys, you ladies, go and check out his book. It's on the MSE network. It's called Reposition Your Crown Queen. And the good thing is, it's only $19 and some change. It's an ebook. You got to go see it and check it out. And thank you all for coming on. Thank you, Ty, for having this platform. Let me tell you, we need it. And next time we can invite more and more women. But you know,
Mhm.
you have to choose wisely who to invite.
Exactly,
Yes.
that's what I did. I do not, when it's sessions like these, I don't just go picking any and everybody.
Yeah.
I can't, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm accountable.
Yes.
Number one, I'm accountable, and I don't need somebody coming up here speaking foolishness or speaking out of anger,
Yes.
talking out of their and causing more that. Even though I would edit it out, it's the fact that, you know,
That's
people
it.
will try it. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So,
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
yeah,
Yeah.
the work that I do with bringing women together, I'm very mindful. Whoever God shows me, I'm gonna make that call.
Mm.
And bring you on. So if not to say that people don't have the different areas of value, but for this right here, you know, you guys are who I see.
Mm.
This
Thank
one
you.
moment she couldn't make it on, but you guys are who I seen for today, and that's how I move. I'm very, very mindful. This ain't something that I posted on social media prior. It'll get chopped up, and I may add certain pieces later for something that already happened. And then it's, you know, of course, whatever the owner would like to, you know, pull from, like how he did the last time, that's what he would do. But I'm very mindful. And so no, everybody just can't get up here and talk and words and sling mud and sling blood and all that stuff. No.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amen. Amen.
But I
Amen.
Yeah.
thank each and every one of you so much, Ardeen. Thank you. Ardeen is filled with so much knowledge. Y'all stay
It
tuned. She's gonna
was. And I love all of you ladies. I just want to
Thank
tell you
you.
that
Yeah.
because, and I'm so
Yes.
proud of you all because we're not told that enough. We're
Yes.
Yeah.
not told that
Yes.
enough. I love
Yes.
you all. I'm proud of you all. You all mean something.
Yes.
You mean something. Don't ever go around thinking you don't mean anything. You are special. You're special, very special.
And Lady K, thank you for saying that because
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of us are fighting with
Yeah.
validation.
Yeah.
So if we hear it more often, we wouldn't fight with it so much.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yes. Mm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I love everybody too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Love you too.
Amazing conversation.
Yes.
Thank you.
Let's do it
Thank you,
again.
ladies, for the space
Yes.
A
platform.
must. Yes.
Yes,
Ah,
yes. I'm gonna see. I'll get in contact with each of you, and we can see a day next week where we can take an hour, and because I really want to touch on that. What does strong, being a strong woman, really mean? What that really look like? You know, like let's do away with the warp and distortion vision of what a strong woman is and what it looks like. You know, and then maybe it is really all those. Not no, it ain't gonna ever be all those things, but you know, maybe it is most of those things, but with us understanding, you know, what being a strong woman is, you know, I will say a wise woman is strong. You know, a wise woman is strong. It don't mean she got that S on her chest. It just means that she know how to maneuver and build up her household,
Mhm.
with wisdom, and in love, you know.
Right.
But yeah, but thank you again, ladies, for coming
Yeah.
on. And Kim, I'll get this to you.
Okay.
Um, between today and tomorrow, I'll get this to you. I will chop it up some so that we can have different clippings to post on social media and share. Um, and then I get with each one of you so that we can see what day works for all of us in the timing, so that we can come back and have this conversation.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay. Have a beautiful weekend,
Thanks for
ladies.
having
You
us.
too, ladies. Bye
Great
bye.
conversation, ladies.